Welcome to a deep dive, just for you, into the world of Sanskrit and the Upanishads.
That's right.
We'll be exploring the Upanishads by Valerie Roebuck.
We are.
It's got excerpts, an intro, a glossary, and chapters focusing on some really interesting Upanishads.
Like the Svetasvatara,
Yes.
the Mundaka,
Uh-huh.
the Prasna, Mandukya, and Maitri.
Those are some great ones.
Yeah.
They really are. And you know, it's fascinating to think that these texts, they emerged during a time of such huge shifts in Indian society and spirituality. People were really looking for answers, you know? Looking beyond the traditional ways of understanding their self in the universe.
Absolutely.
It's like, that's the energy that gave birth to the Upanishads.
It is. It was this real sense of seeking, a real upheaval.
Yeah.
And people were, looking for new paths to liberation.
Before we dive into all the philosophical depths of the Upanishads,
Okay.
let's talk about Sanskrit a little bit.
Yes.
Roebuck actually dedicates a good chunk of time to pronunciation.
She does.
And it's really, honestly, kind of crucial. It is, yeah.
Because did you know that the placement of stress in a Sanskrit word,
Okay.
it's actually determined by the length of the vowels?
Yes, that's it.
So, for instance, in a two-syllable word, the stress always lands on that first syllable.
It does.
Like, take the words yama or dharma. These are terms we're going to be bumping into a lot as we explore the Upanishads.
For sure.
Okay, so I'm starting to see the pattern here.
Yeah.
But what about longer words?
So with three-syllable words, if the second to last syllable is long, it gets the emphasis.
Okay.
It's like a little puzzle.
It is, yeah.
It adds this rhythm.
It does. It's like musical.
It is.
So mastering these pronunciation rules will help us unlock, I guess, the musicality
I think so.
of Sanskrit. And in turn, it's going to help us better understand the Upanishads, right?
Oh, absolutely, because it gives you a feel for the language, for the way it flows.
And there are other little nuances, right?
Yes.
Like the vav sound in Sanskrit.
Viva sound after another consonant.
Right.
It sounds more like a W.
It does.
These little details, I guess, they just remind us that language is constantly evolving.
It is.
Even a language as ancient as Sanskrit.
Absolutely. Always changing.
Now, to truly, I guess, grasp the significance of the Upanishads, I think we need to understand their place within the larger Vedic tradition.
Right.
It's like they're part of this ancient library of knowledge, right?
They are. That's a great way to put it. The Upanishads are like the culmination of the Vedas.
Okay.
So think of the Vedas as a journey.
Okay.
So it starts with the Samhitas,
Yeah.
which are the hymns and mantras.
Right.
Then come the Brahmanas,
The Brahmanas.
which are commentaries on the rituals.
Okay.
And then we delve into the Aranyakas, which are these forest treatises.
Okay.
And they focus on symbolism.
So each layer kind of builds on the previous one,
It does.
leading us to
Upanishads.
the Upanishads.
Yeah. The Upanishads, they're the philosophical and introspective layer of the Vedas. They deal with the self, with the meaning of existence. They introduce us to concepts like Brahman,
Brahman.
the ultimate reality,
Okay.
and Atman,
And Atman.
the individual soul.
Okay.
And here's where it gets really mind-blowing.
Okay.
The Upanishads teach that Atman is essentially the same as Brahman.
So you're saying that my individual soul
Yes.
is part of this vast universal energy?
Yes.
That we're all connected on some fundamental level.
Yes.
Wow. That's a huge concept
And
to wrap my head around.
it's a very challenging idea. And it has huge implications
It does.
for how we see ourselves,
Yeah.
our purpose, our relationship with everything around us.
It challenges our understanding of individuality, doesn't it?
It does.
And it opens up like this whole new perspective
It does.
on existence.
Yeah, and that's why these texts have resonated with people for centuries.
They have, for sure. This idea of interconnectedness.
It's powerful.
It is incredibly powerful. But how does one actually achieve this understanding?
Okay.
Like this realization of unity with Brahman?
Well, the Upanishads talk about moksha, which is liberation from this cycle of rebirth.
Okay.
And they suggest that this liberation is achieved through knowledge of the self
Okay.
and its connection to Brahman.
So it's not about rituals
It's not about rituals.
or offerings.
Yeah.
It's about like a deep understanding
It is.
of our true nature.
Yes.
The Upanishads shift the focus inward, don't they?
Yes.
They emphasize self-knowledge
Yes.
as this key
The key.
in enlightenment.
Yes.
They introduce this concept of karma, the law of cause and effect,
Right.
which plays a role in that cycle of rebirth.
It does.
Our actions has consequences.
They do.
They shape our future lives.
Yes.
Karma. It's a word everybody throws around these days.
It is.
But it's interesting to see its roots.
Yes.
in these ancient texts.
Yes.
So how do we break free from this cycle
Oh.
of karma and rebirth?
Well, the Upanishads discuss yoga, but not just the physical postures that we're familiar with today.
Not just the physical.
No, it's broader than that. It's a system of practices aimed at achieving union with the divine.
So we're talking about different paths.
Yes.
Like Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge.
Yes.
Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion.
Yes.
And Karma Yoga, the path of action.
Yes.
All leading to that same goal of liberation.
Absolutely. They're all tools in the toolbox.
I love that.
Different paths.
It's not a one-size-fits-all approach to spirituality.
No.
But this is all pretty complex stuff.
It is.
Are there any stories
There are.
or teachings
Yes.
in the Upanishads
Yes.
that can help us grasp these abstract ideas a bit easier?
Absolutely. The Upanishads are full of vivid stories
They are.
and metaphors that bring these philosophical concepts to life.
Okay.
One of the most well-known
Okay.
is the story of Nachiketas
Nachiketa.
from the Katha Upanishad.
The Katha Upanishad.
It's about a young boy who bravely faces Yama, the god of death.
Wow. Facing the god of death. That's pretty intense.
Yes.
That's a pretty intense deep dive.
Yeah.
I can see how that story would have captivated people
Oh, yeah.
for centuries. What are some of the other teachings
Okay.
that stand out to you in the Upanishads?
There's a beautiful analogy in both the Svetasvatara and Mundaka Upanishads.
Okay.
It's about two birds perched on a tree.
Two birds perched on a tree.
One bird's busy eating the fruit,
Okay.
totally absorbed in the experience.
Okay.
The other bird just observes.
Whoa, okay. So the two birds represent like two different aspects of our being.
Exactly. This analogy highlights the relationship between the individual self, Atman, and the supreme self, Brahman.
We have the potential
We do.
to be both the experiencer,
Yes.
caught up in the world,
Yes.
and the observer,
Yes.
the detached witness.
Witness.
It really makes you wonder, which bird am I most of the time? Am I lost in the experience, or am I cultivating that awareness, that observer within?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is.
And it's one of the key messages of the Upanishads.
Okay.
To cultivate that awareness, to recognize that unchanging observer
Right.
within us amidst the ever-changing flow of life.
Speaking of states of consciousness,
Yes.
Roebuck mentions the Mandukya Upanishad,
Yes.
which explores 4 states: waking,
Yes.
dreaming,
Yes.
deep sleep,
And
its 4th state,
a fourth state,
Pariya,
Turiya.
which is pure consciousness.
Wow.
Beyond those other 3,
So the Mandukya Upanishad is diving deep into the very nature of consciousness.
it is.
That's ambitious.
It is. It's fascinating. And it had a huge impact
It did.
on later Indian thought,
Like
influencing traditions like Hinduism,
Hinduism,
Buddhism,
Buddhism.
Jainism.
Wow.
It's amazing to see how these ancient ideas continue to ripple
They do.
through time. This is all so intriguing. Before we wrap up part 1,
Okay.
what's one key takeaway you think our listeners should keep in mind?
Remember, the Upanishads are more than just ancient texts.
They are.
They offer a roadmap for inner exploration.
That's powerful.
They encourage us to look within,
Yes.
to discover the truth of our own being.
That's a journey we can all embark on, no matter our background or beliefs.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned for part 2,
Yeah.
where we'll delve even deeper into this fascinating world of the Upanishads.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Upanishads.
It's amazing to think about how these ancient texts are still so relevant today.
Yeah.
You know,
They are.
they were grappling with these like big questions of life thousands of years ago,
Yeah.
and we're still wrestling with those same questions today.
We are. Absolutely.
And one of those, I think, like timeless questions is the relationship between the individual
Right.
and the universe.
Yeah.
The Upanishads, they offer this like unique perspective on this, emphasizing this interconnectedness of all things through this concept of Brahman.
Brahman. Yeah.
This idea that everything originates
Yeah.
from this one ultimate reality.
It is. It's a pretty radical idea.
It's a pretty radical departure
It is.
from how we typically see the world with all its like separate and distinct things.
It is. It's a different way of seeing things.
It's important to remember, though, that the Upanishads didn't emerge in a vacuum.
Right. They didn't.
They were born out of a period of intense social and spiritual change.
Absolutely.
Roebuck mentions how the established Vedic rituals and social structures
All
were
right.
being challenged.
You were. Yeah.
People were searching for like new ways to understand their place in the world.
They were. There's a lot of questioning going on.
So in a way, the Upanishads were like a response to this, like, crisis of meaning.
You could say that, yeah. They offered this, radical new perspective,
Yeah.
suggesting that true liberation wasn't about performing these elaborate rituals or adhering to, like, rigid social norms.
Right.
It was about understanding the nature of the self
Okay.
and its connection to the divine.
Wow, that must have been a pretty revolutionary idea at the time,
It was.
especially in a society that was so structured
Yes.
around tradition and hierarchy.
Absolutely. It challenged the existing power structures.
It did. It really did.
And it really opened up the possibility of spiritual liberation
Right.
to anyone, regardless of their social standing.
And it's fascinating how the Upanishads themselves
Okay.
reflect this shift.
They do.
Roebuck points out that it wasn't just this, like, top-down transmission of knowledge
No.
from priests to the masses.
Right. It wasn't just the priests dictating the truth.
Yeah,
The Upanishads, they're full of dialogues
they are.
and debates with teachers and students, kings and sages, all engaging in these, like, lively discussions about the nature of reality.
It feels very much like a dynamic exchange
It does.
of ideas,
Yeah.
not like a rigid dogma.
No, it's an open exploration, a real search for truth.
And that makes the Upanishads so much more, like, engaging to read.
It does.
You can feel that, like, passion
Yes.
and that genuine search for truth
It can,
in those conversations.
absolutely.
One of the most striking examples of this
Okay.
is the story of Pravahana Jaivali
Yes.
in the Brihadaranyaka and Tendogya Upanishads.
Yes, he's a fascinating figure.
He's a king,
A king.
a Kshatriya,
A Kshatriya, right?
who possesses spiritual knowledge
He does.
that even the Brahmanas,
Even the Brahmanas,
the priestly class,
the experts, right?
they were unaware of.
They were.
So a king teaching the priests
A king teaching the priests.
about the mysteries of life.
Yeah, it's a real turning of the tables.
That's a pretty bold reversal of roles.
It is. It really challenges our assumptions
It does.
about where spiritual wisdom can be found.
It highlights this idea
Yeah.
that spiritual wisdom isn't confined to any, like, particular class or caste.
Right. It's not limited.
Yeah.
It's available to anyone who is truly seeking.
It's like the Upanishads are democratizing spiritual knowledge in a way.
I like that. Democratizing spiritual knowledge. That's a great way to put it.
They're saying that the truth
Yeah.
is within everyone's reach.
It is. It's a powerful message.
It is. It's a very powerful message.
And that theme resonates throughout these texts.
It
They
does.
emphasize the importance of direct experience
Okay.
and self-discovery rather than blind faith or adherence to tradition.
So what are some of the, like, practical implications
I love
of
that.
this Upanishadic worldview?
All right.
How does this impact our, like, everyday lives?
Well, for one thing,
Yeah.
it encourages us to cultivate a sense of, peace and equanimity,
Okay.
regardless of our external circumstances.
Okay.
So if we understand that our true self is ultimately one with Brahman,
Right.
the source of all existence.
Then we can find a sense of stability,
yeah.
grounding amidst the chaos of life.
Yes, it's like having this unshakable foundation within you.
It sounds like the Upanishads are offering us a way to, like, navigate the ups and downs of life
They are.
with a sense of detachment and serenity.
Yes, not being so swept away by the constant changes.
Right, not being so swept away
Exactly.
by the constant changes that are happening around us.
Precisely.
And this inner peace isn't about, like, withdrawing from the world
No.
or becoming passive.
Yeah,
It's about acting with clarity and purpose,
it is.
understanding that our actions have consequences,
They do.
both for ourselves and for others.
Yeah.
So it's about living a more conscious and responsible life,
It is.
informed by this, like, deeper understanding
Yes.
of our interconnectedness with all things.
Exactly.
It's not just about, like, personal enlightenment,
No.
but about bringing that awareness
Yeah.
into how we interact with the world around us.
It's about living in harmony with the universe.
Exactly.
Recognizing our place within the grand scheme of things.
The Upanishads offer this, like, profound vision
They do.
of what it means to be human.
They do.
And they invite us to embark on a journey of self-discovery
Yes.
that can lead to, like, greater wisdom, compassion, and freedom.
They do. It's a journey worth taking.
And it's not a destination, right?
No.
It's like this lifelong process
It is.
of growth and transformation.
Absolutely.
And that sounds like a journey worth taking.
It is.
But before we get, like, too carried away
Okay.
with the philosophical implications,
Yeah.
Roebuck also highlights how the Upanishads use vivid imagery and metaphors
They do.
to convey these abstract concepts. It's not all just, like, deep, heady philosophy, right?
Right, they use these beautiful
Yeah.
and imaginative ways
Yeah.
to explain complex ideas.
And one example is this analogy of the chariot.
The chariot.
In the Katha Upanishad,
Katha Upanishad.
it's such a powerful way to understand the different parts of our being.
It is.
Okay, tell me more about this, like chariot analogy.
Okay, so the chariot,
Yeah.
it represents the body. The horses are the senses.
Okay.
The reins are the mind.
Okay.
And the charioteer is the self.
So the chariot represents the body.
Yes.
The horses are our sense, always pulling us in different directions.
Right.
And the mind is the reins, just trying to like control these wild horses.
Exactly, trying to keep them on track.
That's such a vivid
It is.
and helpful way to think about it.
It is.
It highlights the importance of, I guess, mastering our senses
It does.
and our minds in order to achieve true self-mastery.
Yeah, it's about finding that balance
Right.
between our inner and outer worlds.
It is.
And that's one of the things that makes the Upanishads so compelling.
I think so.
They offer not just, philosophical insights,
Right.
but also practical guidance for living a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
But how do we actually do that?
Okay.
How do we take these ancient ideas
Right.
and apply them to the modern world?
Right. Well,
Does it just stay in the realm of abstract philosophy?
one of the most fundamental practices
Yeah.
that the Upanishads recommend is
right.
meditation.
Meditation. Okay.
They emphasize the importance of quieting the mind,
Oh,
of withdrawing from the external world in order to connect with that inner self.
so it's about finding that stillness within.
Yes, finding that stillness.
That space of pure awareness that's always present, even amidst the busyness of life.
Exactly. It's always there.
And meditation isn't just about sitting in a lotus position
Right.
for hours on end.
No, it's not about that.
It can be as simple as taking a few moments each day to just focus on your breath.
Yes.
Observe your thoughts without judgment.
Right. Just being present.
To cultivate that sense of presence and inner peace.
Exactly.
That sounds doable, even for someone like me who's constantly on the go.
It is. It's accessible to everyone.
But how does meditation actually help us? What's the benefit of cultivating this inner stillness?
Well, it can help us to navigate the challenges of life with more grace and equanimity.
So we're not so easily thrown off balance by external events.
Right. You develop a sense of resilience.
Or develop a sense of resilience.
Yeah, an inner strength.
So it's we're building this foundation of peace and stability within ourselves.
You are.
Which allows us to weather the storms of life.
It does.
And more ease.
Yes, you become more centered.
Right.
More grounded.
The Upanishads teach that true happiness and fulfillment,
yes,
they don't come from those external circumstances.
They don't.
They come from within.
From within.
By cultivating self-knowledge.
Yes.
And connecting with our true nature.
Yes.
We can tap into a source of joy and peace that's independent of the ever-changing world around us.
Absolutely. It's about finding that inner sanctuary.
It's like we're discovering a hidden treasure.
It is.
Within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
A source of peace and happiness that's always been there, just waiting to be uncovered.
It's a beautiful image.
It is.
And that treasure is available to everyone.
To everyone.
The Upanishads remind us that the divine spark,
Right.
the Atman,
The Atman.
it resides within each and every one of us.
So regardless of our background, beliefs, or circumstances, we all have the potential to awaken to this deeper truth within ourselves.
We do. It's a universal potential.
It's an empowering message.
It is very empowering.
The Upanishads, I think, they offer this universal message of hope and liberation.
They do.
A message that continues to inspire and uplift seekers across cultures and time periods.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up our deep dive
Okay.
into the Upanishads,
Yeah.
what's one final thought you want to leave our listener with? What's the one thing you hope they'll take away from this exploration?
I would say remember that the Upanishads are an invitation,
Okay.
a call to embark on that journey of self-discovery.
Yes.
It's a journey that can lead to profound transformation, both for ourselves and for the world around us.
Beautifully said. And if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, I encourage you to explore the source material for yourself.
Yeah, do it.
The Upanishads by Valerie Roebuck is a great starting point for delving deeper into these timeless teachings.
It's a wonderful resource.
It is.
Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
That's right.
Take that first step and see where it leads you.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Upanishads.
It was a pleasure.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep exploring, and keep diving deep into the mysteries of life.
Did you get any of that?